You know, when we think about the next great leap for industry, we usually picture a smarter machine, right? A faster robot. But what if the next leap isn't just a better tool, but a completely new reality? A shared space where the physical and digital worlds don't just connect, they actually merge. And this isn't science fiction anymore. It's the industrial metaverse, and it's pretty much set to change everything we thought we knew about how we create, innovate, and work together.
Okay, let me ask you something. What if you could walk a factory floor in Shanghai, train on a brand new jet engine in Seattle, or design a car with your team in Munich, all without leaving your desk? That's the core promise of the industrial metaverse. It's this fully immersive digital space that isn't just a copy of our world, but a perfect living mirror of it.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at the big shift from Industry 4.0 to 5.0. It's super important context. Then, we'll dive into what the industrial metaverse actually is and what it's made of. After that, we'll check out some incredible real-world applications, tackle the major challenges, because there are a few, and finally, explore what it's going to take to make this whole thing a reality.
To really get why the industrial metaverse is such a game changer, we first have to understand the revolution it's being built on. And it's not just a simple upgrade, it's a completely new way of thinking about industry. Just look at this shift, it's huge. Industry 4.0, which is pretty much where we are now, is all about automation. You know, smart factories, connected machines, squeezing out every last drop of efficiency. But Industry 5.0, it completely flips the script. The human isn't being automated out of the picture, they're being brought right back to the center of it. The goal is no longer just machine precision, it's about fusing that precision with that irreplaceable human creativity. We're moving from just personalizing products on a massive scale to building things in a way that's deeply human-centric.
So, here's the crucial point. This next wave isn't about replacing people. Not at all. It's about augmenting them. Industry 5.0 puts the human expert right back in the driver's seat, using technology to superpower their skills, not to make them obsolete.
And this is where it all comes together. If Industry 5.0 is the why, this new way of collaborating, then the industrial metaverse is the where. It's the environment, the platform, that makes this incredible human-machine teamwork possible.
So, what is this thing, really? Well, think of it as a shared, always-on virtual space. But don't just picture a video game or a simulation. It's more like a living digital twin of our physical world with real-time data flowing back and forth seamlessly. And that complete fusion, that's the key. That's what lets people and intelligent machines work together on a level we've just never seen before.
So how do you actually build something like this? Well, you can kind of think of it like a stack of technologies, one on top of the other. At the very top, you've got your immersive layers, the VR and AR headsets that are basically your window into this digital world. Through that window, you're seeing perfect digital replicas of factories or engines, all built using digital twins. Now, the brains of the whole operation? That's AI and edge computing, making split-second decisions right on the spot. And the foundation holding the whole thing together is trust and speed. That's where things like blockchain for security and 6G for instant, lag-free communication come in.
Okay, so the tech is definitely cool. But what does it let us do? This is where it gets really exciting. Let's look at a few examples that are right around the corner. And honestly, they're game changers.
Imagine this. A surgeon is about to perform a really complex operation. But before they ever step into the OR, they practice on a perfect virtual replica of their actual patient, their digital twin. They can rehearse every single step, anticipate complications, perfect their technique, all before making a single incision. The potential to save lives and reduce risk here is just immense.
Or think about logistics. You've got this massive, confusing warehouse that suddenly becomes incredibly simple. A worker puts on a pair of AR glasses, and they see a digital path laid out right there on the floor, guiding them to the exact item they need. Efficiency just skyrockets, and mistakes practically disappear. It's a perfect example of digital information making the real world so much easier to navigate.
And the same idea works for agriculture. Imagine creating a digital twin of an entire farm. You could simulate a whole growing season in just a few hours, testing out different strategies against a virtual drought or a new type of pest. Farmers can figure out the best way to maximize their yield without ever risking a single real crop.
And finally, let's talk transportation. Before a self-driving car ever hits a real street, its AI can drive millions of miles in a hyper-realistic virtual city. It can experience every bizarre situation, every possible hazard, every edge case you can think of, all in this safe digital world. This makes the car exponentially safer when it finally does get out onto our roads.
Okay, so the potential is obviously massive. But let's be real, building a whole new reality isn't exactly a walk in the park. It comes with a whole new set of really complex challenges that we have to solve first.
Yeah, there are some huge questions we need to answer, like security. How in the world do you protect a company's most valuable secrets in a shared virtual space? Then there's the human factor. How do you design an interface that someone can use for 8 hours a day without getting completely overwhelmed? And what about interoperability? How do you get systems from a dozen different companies to all speak the same language? And maybe the biggest one of all, ethics. If an AI-human team makes a mistake that costs millions, who's responsible? These are the serious hurdles we have to clear.
Now, those are some heavy questions, I know. But the good news is, brilliant people are already working on the answers. Let's take a quick look at the cutting-edge solutions that are paving the way forward.
So to tackle those challenges, some incredible tech is coming. For privacy, there's something called federated learning. The simplest way to think about it is that the learning comes to the data instead of all the private data going to some central server. To build trust, we have explainable AI, which basically stops AI from being a black box and forces it to show its work so we know why it made a certain decision. And to get the sheer horsepower needed for all this, we're looking at quantum and hyperscale computing, because these are pretty much the only things powerful enough to run a digital mirror of our entire industrial world.
After all that talk about AI and quantum computing, it all comes back to this really simple and kind of beautiful idea. The ultimate goal isn't just about the tech. It's about creating a system where human ingenuity and machine capability aren't fighting each other, but are fused into something way, way greater than the sum of its parts. Look, this future isn't science fiction anymore. It is coming. It's no longer a question of if, but when. The technologies are all converging, and the potential is just undeniable. So the final, crucial question that we're all left with is this. As we stand right here on the brink of this new reality, are we prepared to build it thoughtfully, ethically, and in a way that truly benefits everyone? That's the real challenge. That's what we need to figure out next.